The Oscars came and went as they do every year, and given how predictable, especially the acting categories were this year, it got me thinking about a couple years ago and the really unpredictable race for lead actress, and I had started making a video about it then, so I decided I would just continue and finish it now. So here is a retrospective analysis of the 2021 lead actress Oscar race. While the season itself was interesting, by far the most interesting was the Best Lead Actress Oscar race. I can't even remember the last time the Best Lead Actress race was this close and this competitive. I also can't think of another crop of nominees that were this high caliber. In my eyes, it was always a three-horse race between Viola Davis, Carey Mulligan, and Frances McDormand, and while I was a little bit surprised to see that Frances was the one who won, I was thrilled. She was most definitely Oscar-worthy, and in this case, they really couldn't have gone wrong. Every single nominee in this category was Oscar-worthy. I think all these performances deserve a lot more discussion and analysis behind them, so let's get into what made this the best lead actress Oscar race in recent memory. The first thing that made this truly unique is the fact that all the precursor awards went to different people. Golden Globes went to Andra Day, Critics' Choice went to Carey Mulligan, SAG went to Viola Davis, and BAFTA went to Frances McDormand. Another thing that really sets this year apart is that aside from the performances themselves being extraordinary, all the characters are really complex and interesting. And most all of the movies revolve completely around the female leads. This race is so good that I still can't even make a decision about which is my favorite, which I think is the best. I change my mind constantly, and that's just a testament to how incredible each of them are. So with all that being said, let's break down the nominees. I'm going to start with Viola Davis and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. This kind of a transformative role is traditionally lauded by the Academy. And while I'm generally critical of the whole, oh, we can't recognize this actor, so let's give them an Oscar, Viola Davis is extraordinary and brings so much more to this character and this performance than just the traditional Oscar bait.
The first layer of this performance is the fact that she's playing a real-life person. She's playing the mother of blues.
And that in and of itself is a challenge because there's so many things that you have to hit in order to successfully portray a real-life figure. You have to get the likeness right. You have to get the voice and the mannerisms and the look correct. You have to emulate and not imitate the person. You have to bring your own authentic interpretation of the character to it. None of that is an easy task, and yet she does it wonderfully. I think my favorite thing about this performance is the amount of empathy that not only she brings to the character, but that she's able to evoke from the audience, which makes her an irresistible character.
The character herself is as fierce and unwavering as anyone could possibly be.
Lady, will you let me tell the story? Well, if you're gonna tell it right. He bumped into me and fell down, flopping on the ground like a rag doll.
On the surface, thanks to the double whammy of racism and misogyny, this character could be very unlikable.
I think it'd be really easy to see this character, at least initially, as kind of rude or obnoxious or even ridiculous. Diva is definitely a word that would come to mind for most people when seeing this character.
She is demanding. She is difficult. She's all of those things, but rightfully so. Again, a woman, let alone a black woman, let alone a black woman in this time, showing this amount of confidence and demanding that amount of respect is very rare to see. And when it is seen, it's frowned upon and made a mockery of because it's deemed so ridiculous or insane when it's a woman. In actuality, all that Ma Rainey is ever doing in this movie is sticking up for herself because no one else will. And it is worth mentioning, if this was a male character, there would be not even a second glance taken at a single thing that was done or said.
In one chance. The cost of this
And the cost. You're always talking about the cost. I make more money for this outfit than anybody else you got put together. If he mess up, he'll do it till he get it right.
What Viola does so extraordinarily in this performance is she makes the audience see that she's not wrong for demanding the respect she deserves. We're wrong for somehow thinking she isn't entitled to it.
She makes sure that you see the toll that it's taken on her to stay so strong and stand so firm in the face of so much opposition her entire life.
The greatest thing about her character is that she's fully gaming the system. She has full knowledge and understanding of what's going on around her. And she knows that if they're gonna take this much advantage of her, she may as well demand respect while they're doing it.
They don't care nothing about me. All they want is my voice. Well, I done learned that. And they're gonna treat me the way I want to be treated, no matter how much it hurt them. They're back there right now calling me all kinds of names, calling me everything but a child of God. But they can't do nothing else because they ain't got what they wanted yet.
Despite this being a larger-than-life role, it's never overplayed. She's able to contain it within the realm of reality. She's a real person. She has this humanity that is undeniable. And with that humanity, she's very likable.
I don't know that on the page, Ma Rainey would be as likable and relatable and accessible and vulnerable as she is when she's played by Viola Davis. The audience's championing of her, their understanding of her, their empathy towards her is only achieved because of Viola Davis's performance.
Blues help you get out of bed in the morning. You get up knowing you ain't alone. Something else in the world. Something been added by that song. This be an empty world without the blues. Yeah. I try to take that emptiness and fill it up with something. Woo. I ain't started blues way of saying blues always been there. But if they want to call me mother of blues, that's all right with me. It don't hurt none.
There's so much communicated through her eyes and her face. There's so much indignation and utter defiance and hatred and anger and frustration. And all of that is just communicated through her eyes. You can see it. She doesn't even have to move a muscle on her face for you to know exactly how she's feeling with her eyes alone.
He said the best he can do is take $25 of your money and give it to Sylvester.
Take what and do what? If I wanted the boy to have $25 of my money, I'd give it to him. He's supposed to have his own money. He's supposed to get paid like everybody else. You go on up there and you tell Sturdivant that he better pay the boy his own money.
Yeah, I talked to him.
Well, talk to him again. Tell him if he don't pay the boy his own money, he'd never make another record of mine again. Tell him that. You're supposed to be my manager, always talking about sticking together. Start sticking. Get the boy's money!
Okay.
She also has a lot of moments which are, like, honestly, genuinely hilarious.
My Coke, I need a Coke. Hard as it is, sure. I need a Coke. It's my Coke, I need a Coke, Coca-Cola. I'm gonna carry my black bottom on back down to Georgia. You hear me? 15 minutes. Oh, shit. Okay.
I mean, literally, from the moment she steps on screen, that defiance is evident.
Her willingness to and almost revelry in staring straight in the face of everyone and everything that's working against her, planting her heels firmly in the ground, is revolutionary, as is Viola Davis playing it.
So he's gonna do the voice intro to the song, My Way.
Well, we just figured...
Who's this we? What do you mean we? Come talking this we, sir. Who we?
Me and Sturdivant. We decided...
You decided, huh? I'm just a bump on a log. I'm just gonna go whichever way the river drift. Is that it? You and Sturdivant decided?
No, we just thought...
I ain't got no good sense. I know nothing about music. I don't know what a good song is and what ain't. You know more about my fans than I do.
It's not that, Ma. It's more of what the people want.
I'll tell you something, Irvin. And you can go up there and you can tell Sturdivant, too. What you all say don't count with me, you understand? Ma, listen to her heart. Ma, listen to the voice inside her. That's what count with Ma. Now, you carry my nephew on down there. You tell Cutler he gonna do the voice intro to the Black Bottom song, and Levy ain't messing up my song. Now, if that don't set right with you and Sturdivant, I can carry my Black Bottom on back down south to my tour, because I don't like it up here in no ways.
Okay. Ma. I don't care. You know, I just thought...
Well, damn what you thought. What you look like trying to tell me how to sing my song. That Levy and Sturdivant shit. I ain't going for it.
This performance is absolutely extraordinary, and I don't think she's getting enough credit at all. In Pieces of a Woman, Vanessa Kirby plays Martha, who is grieving the loss of her baby, which obviously presents a lot of intricacies and complexity to the character herself. The first 20 to 30 minutes of this movie is just literally a one-take birth scene. And in any other year, you would say one-take birth scene, and they would pretty much just mail the Oscar to that person automatically. There wouldn't even be a need for a ceremony, so I feel like she just kind of got the short end of the stick this year. That birth scene alone is a tour de force in filmmaking and acting, and that experience covers the full spectrum of human emotion. This may sound kind of stupid and arbitrary, but there's a point in the birth where Martha's really nauseous and she's kind of burping, and the way that she portrayed it was so real to me. It like grossed me out. Like I was gagging a little bit. It was just so gross. It sounded and looked so real.
Oh, why don't I feel so sweet?
You do it this way.
Can I throw up?
You don't eat enough. What are you going to throw up?
And I don't think people talk about this enough, but little mannerisms and functions like that are really important to get right because they're universal experiences. So if you're not portraying that accurately, it's really hard for your performance to be believable. The thing about a one take is that it can't make you seem like a better actor than you actually are. You have to be very, very good to pull off a good one take because there's no cuts, there's no editing, there's no anything that can help you. You just have to be that good. And she is.
Just breathe. Wait. Oh my God! Fuck!
When I was trying to think about the scenes that I would talk about and point out as the most emotionally impactful, oddly enough, what came to mind is this scene where she's literally just walking down the street. Chronologically in the movie, it cuts directly from her losing her baby to her walking down the street like a month later, going to work for the first time. But that scene was just a gut-punching, heart-wrenching moment. Just to see her so stone cold, like walking through her life, going through the motions, but being completely detached. The big kind of climactic scene that all the award shows have been playing to showcase her performance is incredible. I get chills every single time I see it.
Is this about money?
No,
Is it about what people think?
it's about you. It's about you having to face this.
I am facing this. I am facing it! I am facing this!
Well, I don't think you are. We need some justice here.
No, you need. That is what you want. That is what you need. That is your way. That is not my way. That is what you need.
But again, the thing that is so great about this is that it's never over the top or overplayed. It is all so real. It feels so tangible and so relatable. It's this bubbling up of rage under the surface and then a quick release and then straight back to complete detachment. And that's so true to life.
If you had done it my way, you'd be holding your baby in your arms right now.
You know what? You're ashamed. You're so ashamed of me. You're ashamed because I failed. Oh, what a disgrace. Oh, what a disgrace.
There's a scene where her mom kind of ambushes her and it just feels so realistic. The delivery, the dynamic between the two, all of her reactions, you can see both internal and external. It's loaded with all these emotions, yet also somewhat points to her voluntary and active detachment from them.
That's all that's the right thing to do, honey.
Because you say it is.
Do you really want to put your little baby's body on a mass grave like an animal?
And then she's laughing, and she's kind of letting the humor and the ridiculousness of the situation prevail.
So cheap.
And a lot of times that is kind of the coping mechanism. If something is too painful or makes you too angry, you kind of just laugh it off. There's also the scene at the end of the movie, which is so incredible.
You noticed whether she had blonde hair, dark hair, lots of hair, no hair.
Yes.
Yes,
dark.
pardon me?
It was dark, yes.
Her hair was dark.
I don't think I've ever seen someone be able to portray such intense
and obvious levels of literal simultaneous excruciating pain and sadness and infinite joy.
What did you feel when you were holding your baby?
How did I feel?
Yes, how did you feel holding your baby you had just given birth to?
She smelled like an apple.
She has a very uncanny ability to portray completely different emotions or experiences with different parts of her face.
There might be a reason for what happened, but we are not going to find it here in this room. And if I stand here and ask for compensation or money, then I am saying that I can be compensated, and I can't. I can't bring her back. No money or verdicts or sentences can bring back what... How can I give this pain to someone else? That is not why my daughter came into this world for the time that she did.
All on her face, all at once, in one expression, all of these things are being communicated very clearly. Her eyes are just completely fraught and red and irritated, and there's so much despair and anguish and excruciating pain, and yet she's smiling. But it's only because of how she's communicating it that you can understand that despite her excruciating pain, the one and only thing that could prevail over that is more powerful than that is her enduring, ultimate, and infinite love for her daughter. Another thing that's so interesting about this character in particular is the fact that her kind of coping mechanism is to retreat in on herself.
I need you to promise me you can't send her anywhere. Please.
She becomes completely unemotional, completely detached from everything and everyone. And despite the hindrance of not really displaying outward emotion, Vanessa Kirby makes it very clear how she's feeling.
Very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
This was one of the most emotionally impactful and arresting movies I have ever seen. The experience that I had watching that movie was unlike any other experience I've ever had watching a movie, and that is in large part due to how incredible Vanessa Kirby was.
And I say, take all of mine, honey.
So I'll be honest and say that when Andra Day won the Golden Globe, I was literally shocked. Like, my jaw was dropped to the floor. I could not believe it. She was my number 5 pick, and everyone else's, because no one was predicting her. No one thought she was going to win. And at that point, I hadn't even seen Billie Holiday, so I was kind of confused. But shortly after I watched it, and I definitely understood how and why she won.
This is yet another performance that the Academy eats up every single time. Like Viola Davis, she is playing a real person. She is a performer. She's emulating that person. She has to look like that person, talk like that person, act like that person. She has to do all those things that will technically make you look at her and say, oh yeah, that's Billie Holiday.
But also, she's able to really breathe life into this character. Let me put it this way. In another year, Andra Day could be running away with this Oscar, no contest. She would be the unequivocal frontrunner and probably even winner. A lot of people have won Oscars for doing a lot less than Andra Day does here.
One of the things that I was really impressed by with her that I do feel is unique to a lot of these other kinds of performances is how surprisingly unglamorous and grounded it was. I mean, there were so many points that were just very raw and real, and she was stripped down, and there was no vanity there. There was nothing getting in the way. She was just being Billie Holiday.
No, honey. Mommy's working. I cried for you. Now it's your turn to cry over me. Bow.
I think that could be due to the fact that this is her first acting role, which in and of itself is a very impressive feat. I mean, to have your first acting role be this and to be nominated for an Oscar and to have it be this great of a performance is really a testament to how much natural talent she has.
I must kiss your ugly ass. You came to my baby's goddamn funeral, Jimmy. Don't know why you just some fucking fed. You probably don't like any of my music, do you?
Another thing that's really interesting about this category in general, and Andra Day in particular, is the fact that all of these characters are really rich, complex characters. I mean, they really are. They have a lot going on. They're very interesting.
Billy's a super rich role full of lots of complexities. She has a lot of trauma. She has a lot that she's actively working against and not processing. Meanwhile, she's so promising and so radiant and so talented, and also she's being hunted her entire life. I hate to be that person, but one of the things that I do want to give Andra Day the most credit for is being the person who actually sang the songs.
Southern trees, they're strange fruit.
I do take issue with when in biopics specifically about musicians, the people playing them aren't doing the actual singing, because I think that it would be very easy to find someone who could act the role and who could actually do the singing themselves. Obviously, this is an examination of the acting talent. It was the Oscars and not the Grammys, but at the same time, having that extra layer of immense talent on top of your acting talent is always going to be a bonus in my book.
They want to destroy me. He wants me to stop singing what's in my soul.
I was really impressed with her performance overall. It was a great performance. The real indicator of how great this category is this year is the fact that, for me personally, Andra Day falls at the bottom of the list. Not necessarily that she's worse than the others or anything. She just is kind of less memorable to me. But again, like I said, in many other years, she would have been like the cream of the crop, the front runner, the best one. So the fact that she's lower down on the list of this just shows you how high caliber this category is this year, and that is not a knock to her at all. There are a couple things that I think make this performance so, head and shoulders above and beyond a lot of other performances, not only just this year, but every year. And the first is the fact that she has the stiffest competition of all, because her fellow co-stars are real people. You can't compete with real people when it comes to being real. She has to be such a good actor that she can blend in with these non-actors.
Frances McDormand has the task of being as welcoming and inviting as she possibly can be
to those people so that they can open up to her and pull off quote-unquote performances like they do. There's some really masterful work going on there. Maybe just on an empathy level.
You okay? Doctors told me that I had cancer removed from my lung a while back, and a small cell carcinoma, and they told me it's spread to my brain, and they've only given me 7 or 8 months to live. I'm sorry.
The second thing that I think makes this performance really incredible is the fact that there is a very small fraction of actresses who could play this role. Most other actresses, no matter how capable, no matter how talented they are, could never and would never, no matter how hard they tried, strip as completely just naked and raw as she does in this. I feel like there is almost no one else who could have pulled this off the way that Frances McDormand did.
You are one of those lucky people that is from the United States.
Of the U.S. of A.
Yes.
Yes, I am.
And you can travel anywhere.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
And they sometimes call you nomads or people who don't have a home. I see that you have this ring.
Mm-hmm.
Are you married?
I am, but my husband died.
And so
I'm not going to take that off.
that ring is a circle, and it never ends. And that means that your love never ends. And you may not be able to take it off if you tried.
Don't think I could.
No.
Seems like the work is not going to be horrible. Uh-oh, it's sliding. Did you take resumes? I'll leave it with you, just in case.
Just go on. No, just
go online?
Yeah.
Oh! Did you feel it?
That's what it does to people.
It scares me.
Scares them away.
Nope, watch out, watch out. Watch the steps. Whoa.
It's like a disco.
What was very clear to me was just how much vulnerability and bravery and freedom that like oozes off the screen all the time in this character, in all of these people who were kind enough to share their stories and themselves with this project, in Frances McDormand's performance, in the filmmaking, all of it.
He loved Empire. He loved his work so much. He loved being there. Everybody loved him. So I stayed. Same town, same house. It's like my dad used to say, what's remembered lives. I maybe spent too much of my life just remembering Bob. You know what I mean?
There's this one scene, and it's a tiny scene. It's such an inconsequential scene, I feel like, to anyone else. But to me, I mean, I was mesmerized by this scene where she's like dancing in a bar. They're doing like a two-step. And just the way that she is moving, the ownership and the autonomy she has over her body, the confidence that she has in herself, the lack of fear and judgment altogether was like moving to me. Like it made me want to cry because I looked at it and I was just like, oh my gosh, she just has total ownership over herself, which I feel like is not something that can be said for a lot of women and even a lot of people in general. To have so much ownership over yourself and over your body and the way you move and the way you dance and not caring what you look like, not caring what other people are thinking of you, just living in the moment and experiencing life for what it is, living.
She has it down to a T. I mean, she is the embodiment of that kind of freedom.
Another thing that just adds to how impressive of a performance this is the fact that she actually doesn't have that much dialogue. A lot of it is through expressions and movements. She doesn't need to say much, and she doesn't even need to do much. I mean, that's how skilled of a performance this is.
She's able to convey more in one glance than most actors can in an entire movie.
You must know I've been true. Won't you say that we can start anew? In my sorrow now I turn.
This is yet another interesting character because you kind of are like, oh, well, how does she feel at the end of the movie? What does she want? Is she happy? Is she sad? Is she this or is she that? Because we always want an answer. We have this end goal that we're relentlessly trying to reach, and she doesn't need that by the end of the movie. I think she just is kind of accepting the fact that she's a human being living her life, and that's how it's going to be. The thing is, again, like I said, on the surface, her character kind of seems to not have certain things together, or that we need to feel sorry for her or pity her, but that notion's very quickly flipped on its head, and that's because of Frances McDormand's performance and how likable she is, and how, you know, she has all these moments where she's so funny, and she's so vibrant, and she's so very obviously personable and likable. Everyone likes her. She's fun to be around. She's kind. She's a good person, ultimately.
We be the bitches of the Badlands.
Yeah, look, Oh, yeah! Those on me! No! Yeah! He didn't get it! Oh my God, look at how gross it is. Ew. No, get out of there, Terry, get out! Get out!
Fine, Fernie, he's fine. He's fine. Look,
Oh no! What is it? What's he feeding him? Oh!
Probably chicken.
No, it's rabbits! Oh!
Look at his eyes.
Yeah, he wants you. He wants you next. You get in there. I don't want to be the one. He's going to come right through the glass.
Go to the East Coast. There's no place big enough over there to park something this size.
It's the magic bus. We could go to Hawaii.
Hawaii.
I went into this very skeptical of her performance, thinking that it was being overhyped. I was like, well, she already has 2 Oscars. How good could this possibly be? And I was incorrect in that assessment. Nobody's overhyping this. This is the most skillful, masterful performance that you could ever hope to see. And the fact that it's done with so much subtlety is so rare nowadays and makes it just that much more impressive.
Been you around all these years. You left a big hole by leaving. That one's on me.
I'll start off by admitting that I think Carey Mulligan is a criminally underrated actress. I will die on that hill. She's been in the business for a really long time, and she's much better than like a lot of other really popular actresses, and yet no one gives her the recognition she deserves. So I'm really, really glad that she's in the conversation and in the mix. Promising Young Woman lives and dies upon Carey Mulligan's shoulders. It just does. This movie is walking a tonal tightrope, and this movie only works because of how well Carey Mulligan's able to balance so many conflicting and ambitious themes and tones.
Hey. Hey. I said, what are you doing?
One of my favorite things to see in actors is an ability to express a million emotions in a millisecond, and Carey Mulligan has that in droves, especially in Promising Young Woman.
That's a shame. I was hoping you'd feel differently by now. Sorry. For your sake, I was hoping you'd feel different by now.
There's so many scenes where she just has these micro expressions that convey so much within literal milliseconds. Like, she's able to do that and for it to be relatively subtle. And I think that is very, very skillful. This is yet another thing that seems inconsequential, but her delivery is so spot on. For her to have such great, such realistic, such relatable delivery of certain lines that you don't even notice it as anything. It's just so correct to you that your brain doesn't even register it as, oh, this is a great acting moment, or oh, this is impressive, is so impressive. Literally, the way she delivers 2 words. There's a sequence in which she says, "Are you?" And I tried to think of how I would have delivered it. I tried it like a million different ways. Literally none of them were even a fraction of how deliciously brilliant her delivery of 2 words were.
I'm a nice guy.
Are you?
I thought we had a connection, I guess.
A connection? Okay. What do I do for a living? Sorry, maybe that one's too hard. How old am I? How long have I lived in the city? What are my hobbies? What's my name?
And she lends so much to the character and to the story by having such spot-on, pitch-perfect delivery.
Also, the fact that she's able to portray the dichotomy of how she looks in this movie, which is hyper ultra feminine, which is traditionally representative of, happy, bubbly, sweet, innocent, girly. And yet there's literally nothing sweet or innocent about her character whatsoever. To pull off looking like that and yet being so biting and cunning and cold, having such a stone cold demeanor with such a candy-coated facade it was honestly kind of disturbing.
I want you to tell me what you did.
Are you talking about?
What do you think I'm talking about?
I didn't do anything. We were kids.
If I hear that one more time.
Look, maybe she regretted it after, okay?
Oh, yeah, she regretted it.
I didn't do anything.
Wrong!
What the fuck? Look, I don't know what you want me to say, okay? But we did not.
What?
This, again, is a very complex character. This is a character dealing with trauma who really projects one thing and underneath is dealing with tons of others. I feel like it's hard for someone to embody and portray someone who's carrying this weight that you feel and see. Like, she's the most emotional, unemotional person I've ever seen.
Look how easy it was. I guess you just had to think about it in the right way. I guess it feels different when it's someone you love.
It's kind of like a character within a character. She is allowing you to see her fool other people while also not allowing you to be fooled like they are.
And that is a difficult thing to convey as an actor. There's so many moments where she is showing everything and absolutely nothing at the same time. She is spilling over with emotion and somehow simultaneously emotionless.
Right. Why would you? So if a friend came to you now, came to your house and told you that they thought something bad had happened to them the night before. Cassie. Something bad.
It was years ago.
What would you say? What would you say?
A little weird.
Would you roll your eyes behind her back and dismiss the whole thing as drama?
I don't know why you're mad at me. Okay, I'm not the only one who didn't believe it. If you have a reputation for sleeping around, then maybe people aren't gonna believe you when you say something's happened. I mean, it's crying wolf.
You thought it was crying wolf?
It's really extraordinary what she does, especially in these scenes where she's talking to other people, because it's so obvious how many emotions she has, and yet she's still so cold. She's able to convey both at the exact same time. It's almost like she has two sides to the same coin because she is so desperate. She's so sensitive, so overflowing with unmitigated and uncontrollable amounts of emotion. And yet she is stone cold.
None of us want to admit when we've made ourselves vulnerable, when we've made a bad choice. And those choices, those mistakes can be so damaging and really regrettable. Regrettable.
Another thing that I think she just balances so spectacularly is the fact that her character is always kind of looking and searching and trying to fill this void within herself. And while on the surface she does a lot of times, she has a kind of, cunning smirk to herself about proving someone wrong or whatever it is. But you can also see that right beneath that, she is still empty inside. And as much as she consciously thinks that this is going to help her and this is going to fill the void, because of the way that it's portrayed, that it's not going to. And it's not actually doing anything of sustenance for her or with her.
And she is able to physically portray and display that. I mean, there are countless moments where you see that instant gratification and satisfaction that she's getting, but you also see that she is literally empty inside and nothing is going to fill that void. She's able to show and convey to the audience certain things that not even the character is able to understand about herself. But Carey's able to let you know that as an audience member.
Are you gonna tell everybody?
I don't know.
I don't know if I can live with the threat of this hanging over me. I didn't even do anything.
Okay. Poor Ryan, just an innocent bystander. Yeah. Don't tell any of them that I'm coming.
because I'll send the video around just the same if you do.
I really think this is such a layered and complex, just sharp, entertaining performance.
I don't think people really understand the complexity of what she has to do, and I don't think people are talking about or appreciating the magnitude of what she pulled off in this role.